Good evening, everybody. So, I've had a couple of people say that they've been watching these videos. So, and also asked when the next one was coming. And I was like, not too much of a good thing, you know? But I don't know what to talk about. And I keep thinking, oh, what can I talk about? And then it's all, I feel it's all staged then. And the whole thing with me is I just do things off the cuff. And so then I was going to put out a short video to ask people to give me suggestions or ask me any questions and things like that. And then my mum kept saying, oh, you need to tell them about when you got arrested. And then someone just messaged me and said, I dare you to tell them about when you got arrested. So I was like, okay, I don't think it's that big a story, but I'll tell my story. So when I was about 19, I'd say, maybe 20, I mean, old enough to know what I'm doing, but young enough to not give a hoot. And so we were on a sponsored pub crawl. It was when I was working at Newton, Totnes, in a nursing home, and a load of us gone out in the evening Totnes to raise money. Bit of a backstory. Get it right. So, a few days previous, me and Michelle had been out in Plymouth, stayed B&B. The next day we just hang out in Plymouth, chilling, hungover, and we had seen these couple guys messing around with cap guns, and we thought that it looked good fun, so we went and bought a couple cap guns and joined in, and so I had bought a cap gun. And then on this sponsored pub crawl, I decided to take my cap gun along so that I could go up to people and be like, oh, money or your life, and get lots of money put into the buckets. And it worked, and it was all very good fun. I wasn't drinking because I was driving, because a load of us were going to Plymouth afterwards. So I drove us, I think it's 4 or 5 girls. We went down to Plymouth, and it was still a bit early to go clubbing. So I decided to just cruise around the city, and drove up around the Hoe and drove up around the Royal Citadel, which is the artillery base. And there is an armed guard on the gate. And as we drove past, I was like, oh, look, he's got a gun too. Pew, pew. And then drove past, and then some of the girls were like, oh, I didn't see. So I turned around to come back and drove past. And then as we had gone past, I think it was Laura in the back, she was like, oh my God, he's fallen over. And we all thought it was very hysterical and very silly, and thought it was very funny. And I'm saying this now and I'm thinking, oh my God, you were so stupid. But I really was just out to have fun, and I never think of the consequences of things that I think are funny. And so anyway, we went out, had a good night out, drove home, went to bed at, I don't know, probably about 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. And then I think it was about 8 o'clock in the morning, my dad's shouting up the stairs, Donna, what the hell have you been up to? And I was like, oh, he'll go away. And then he's banging on the door. You need to go over to Ashby. I've had the police out here. You got to go over to the station and make a statement. I was like, what the hell's he going on about? I thought he was winding me up about something. So I get out and I'm like, what? And he's like, what the hell were you doing last night? I was like, what? I don't know. What are you talking about? I went out. The police have been here. They had a search warrant for the car. I've got to take you over to the police station to make a statement. What were you doing? You had a gun? And I was like, a gun? Are they talking about my cap gun? So, anyway, he drives me over to Ashburton Police Station. All the way going over, I'm trying to explain to him whatever could have happened the night before. I mean, this is the point, I was in clubbing in Union Street, and after the event, and I had my cap gun with me then, and I was saying to him, let me in the club's free, and I just thought I was funny, you know, I had this cap gun and all that, and this is in 1989, so, you know, it was a bit more innocent times, I suppose. Not really, but in my head it was. Anyway, so I go over to Ashburton Police Station. I go in. One of the first things I have to do is sign this bit of paper, which is the search warrant or something, to hand over my cap gun and caps for confiscation. I'd only bought this a couple of days before, so I wasn't happy, but anyway, beside the point. So I hand that over, and then the policeman asked me to explain my actions the night before. So I tell him everything that happened and blah, blah, blah. And then he explains that the guard, who are trained to at first ask questions later, all he saw on a twilight sky was me driving past with a gun silhouette coming out of the car. And that when we came back and where we thought he'd fallen over, he is actually down on the deck rounding up his gun to shoot. And then apparently for the rest of the night, they were all out looking for me. Not too hard, seeing though I was still waving my gun around in Union Street. But, so anyway, the policeman over Ashburton took my statement and everything, said that it seemed I wasn't acting in malice, and that he would give my statement to Charles Cross, and I would have to wait to hear from them. So we're in the car going home, and I'll never forget it. We're driving along the dual carriageway, and I was being a bit cocky and feeling a bit silly after the grilling I just had, and that, you know, in my eyes, it was just a cap gun and blah, blah, blah. And I made a comment along the lines of, well, he only reported me because I shot first. And my dad just broke down in tears. And I didn't see him cry very often. And he was like, do you not understand? I could be identifying your body today, or what would be left of it. That man was supposed to kill you. And he was in his right to do so. So that hit home a bit. And I wrote a letter to the Royal Citadel to apologise to the guard, and waited. And then I was called back to Charles Cross Police Station, where I got a warning and was informed that I could have actually gone to prison for, I don't know, 6 months or something for what I'd done. So I realised it was a really serious thing. But at the time, it just seemed so ridiculous. Typical of me, you know, especially, you know, once I get in the swing of things. I mean, half the time I wasn't drinking, because if I'm surrounded by jovial people, I just had to go anyway. It was just me. So the funniest thing, though, is many years later, I was doing a bit of the whole internet dating after I'd been divorced and that, and I went on a date with a guy from Exeter, and during the date we were chatting, and he was saying that he used to be in the forces at Plymouth and that. Anyway, I told him this story, and he was actually one of the MPs or something that was out looking for me that night, and he remembered it. Yeah, we didn't see each other again after that. It was all a bit awkward. But anyway, yeah, so that was the story of when I got arrested. I don't know if that's entertainment, but there, I was dared to tell it, so I told it. And my mother will be stop nagging me now. But this is what I'm talking about, the things you do. And if I'd had a couple of the Bucky wine, not good. I remember coming home one night and we had one of the hedges outside the house, and Mum and Dave said that they could hear me out there. And I think Dave saw me, and I just was stood out on the pavement and said, "Watch this," and did a fall back into the hedge and roly-polied back into the garden. And of course the hedge sprung back up, and it was all very funny until the next day Dave showed me that there's a bloody iron, sort of almost like a spear inside there that I could have bloody gone back on. So I did sort of start learning to grow up. Anyway, that's whatever episode 3 of Life with Donna. Going back in the day a bit. I have grown up now, somewhat. And yeah, please tell me in the comments if there's anything you would like me to talk about, anything you want to ask me. Yeah. Good night.